Today I'm going to go over some home building science and how I'm applying some of these concepts to this little office shed build that I'm doing. Right here I have a mock-up of your traditional house build. You have vapor barrier, bat insulation, your stud, sheathing, you got your house wrap, and then you have your exterior. So wood, vinyl, stucco, whatever that could be. So what I'm doing that's different in this build is I'm not putting in any vapor barrier, and before I put my siding on, I'm putting this 1-inch foam which has foil backing and a foil front. That foils to help with the radiant heat. And the reason why I'm doing this is because now it minimizes thermal bridging. So when I have this foam, it'll be taped all around the outside of my house. The plywood stays warm, the stud stays warm, and it doesn't transfer that cold into the house. Whereas a traditional build, if you do it this way, this sheathing gets cold, especially when we have -50, -30. The sheathing gets cold, this stud gets cold, and then there's the warmth inside the house, and any moisture can condense on this vapor barrier, and then drywall becomes a food source for mold. Whereas in this situation, this will help reduce a lot of that thermal bridging. So the studs don't get cold, this doesn't get cold. And in our climate with the seasons and the weather, in the wintertime you have hot air on this side, cold air on this side. And so when hot air hits that cold air, it'll condense any moisture on this side. And then you switch it around in the summertime, you have cold air on the inside, warm, humid air on the outside. When that moisture, if it has the ability to ingress inside your house, it hits this vapor barrier, then you get moisture clinging onto here. And then it becomes a diaper, because this is sealing everything in here. And when that happens, you get rot in your studs, especially your bat insulation. And that's particularly important with fiberglass insulation, because fiberglass insulation holds moisture a lot more, and that gives it, and then there's the organic material that becomes a food source like the stud for your molds. The product that I'm using here is not fiberglass, it's rock wool. It's made out of mineral wool. And this stuff is really nice because it's number one, it's fire retardant, it's got a good R rating, and it's also a sound dampener, and it doesn't hold moisture like fiberglass does. So this reduces it. And I'm not going to be putting this in, I'm going to be putting acoustic panels. So any sound that travels through those acoustic panels hits this, it'll absorb a lot of that sound. And so that's just, I'm going to try it with this little shed and see how that works out. And what I've done on the roof of this shed is slightly different. So I built my studs, or my rafters, right? Got my rafters going there. Well, what I've done is I've put my styrofoam insulation on top, then I put my sheathing. So there will be screws that'll transfer the heat, but now it's not the whole piece of plywood that's transferring the heat into my ceiling. Yeah, so I thought I'd share that with you, and I'll update you on how that works, because the way that I'm building this, the interior and stuff, I could peel things apart fairly easy. It's not like I'm not doing any drywall in here, so it'll be easy to peel off, take a look to see how things are. If they're wet, it's easy to dry, and I can put vapor barrier, a little more work, I could put vapor barrier on afterwards if I see that there is an issue. But yeah, and just explain some of the new homes, like the way that they're building them is they're not even putting bat insulation inside here. Instead, they're using a board type material, and they're going 5 inches in. 5 inches on the outside of the house. Sometimes they'll use that foam as well. And then you got your 5 inches on top of that. So now your house becomes a whole jacket. It's like your house has a jacket, it's wearing a whole jacket. The interior studs now, they don't need to have bat insulation. And it's a lot easier for the trades like plumbers and electricians to run things through. and not have to fight with the bat or to deal with the bat after all that stuff is installed. Yeah, so I thought I'd just share that. It's kind of interesting to me that that's the way that they're building homes to help reduce any moisture and mold buildup inside a house. And that's all I have for today. Bye.